Okay, so the program tonight is hot off the press. Okay, so note that all suggestions and tips are my opinions from years of experience as an artist and a gallerist, as well as input and feedback from other art professionals, such as art gallery owners and art organization executives. As we all know, there is no one way to do anything. So you may choose to do things in a different way if you feel that they are best for you and your particular situation. So, in writing a press release is usually sent to journalists and editors who may use the information to write a news article and can be posted to online press release distribution services. A press release is usually accompanied by a press release email pitching the story to the journalist, sort of cover letter, which summarizes the content of the release. So, what are reasons to write a press release? Number one, it garners attention and awareness. Journalists and media outlets have far more reach than you alone, so it makes sense to use press releases to garner more attention and awareness. It helps build relationships. So sending press releases to it's a mutually beneficial exercise. Journalists need stories. If you can help them with this, it could be the start of a relationship with someone in the media industry. It also improves your search engine optimization. Most people don't think about that. If you can incorporate keywords efficiently, your rank for those keywords on search engines can shoot up. Obtain backlinks from the news source's website. Backlinks are one of the best ways to get your content to the top of a search engine. So we'll talk about that a little later on in the program. You can build your brand, and an effective press release is also a good way to control how you are viewed. So you should define your goals for your press release. So when writing press releases, ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve out of this? Is this boosting your social media following? Building brand awareness for a crowdfunding campaign, tapping into physical media like newspapers. It's important to identify this at the start because in order to reach each of the goals, you'll have to adopt different strategies. So think about, do you want to build awareness? Do you want to get attendance for an event, etc.? So before you write a news press release, you must do or have something newsworthy. Your hook for the story is best if based on a trending topic that journalists are covering right now. So your hook is what's going to attract people's attention and make them want to read your article, whether it's in a newspaper or whether it's online. So for content to be considered newsworthy, there are a few factors that you need to take into consideration. Impact. Is someone going to be affected by this information? Immediacy. Is this urgent news? Recognition. Is this something about someone or something well known? Most successful press releases satisfy at least two of these three criteria. So as you're pitching to journalists, create a news release with that in mind. Give journalists what they want. Journalists love anything exclusive. Keep that in mind. There's a concept or a strategy called newsjacking, the process of injecting your brand into a current news story to make it more relevant and eye-catching. So if there's something happening, let's just say ArtSpan is celebrating its 50th anniversary and you want to newsjack that story, that means you include ArtSpan celebrating its 50th anniversary in your press release. So when people Google ArtSpan 50th anniversary, your press release might come up. Make an emotional connection. Stories with an emotional connection resonate better with a target audience and lead to more social traction. Okay, so any questions before we go on any further? Raise your hand if you have any general questions about press release. Okay, so we'll go ahead and resume. Okay, so you should use the standard press release format. So we're going to go over that format. A press release that conforms to a standard format makes your odds of getting published higher. So these are the elements that should be included in the press release. Headline, which grabs people's attention. A title, which grabs people's attention and clearly explains what the release is about. The dateline, when the press release will be published. Location, where are you and where the news is taking place. Strong lead, explain your newsworthy content in one sentence. Body, easily skimmed information provided in decreasing levels of importance. So that means the most important level of importance comes first. The most important information comes first, and it goes on that. And this could be, your body could be one paragraph, it could be two paragraphs, it could be three paragraphs. Then the boilerplate, which is a few words describing your company or yourself or your studio, your organization to the audience. And then the press contact, your name and contact details, so they can get in touch for more information. So let's go into each one individually. Write your press release headline. Your press release headline is the first thing anyone's going to see, so you have to make sure it's perfect. It's going to attract their attention. The goal of your press release headline should be to get in, impress the journalist, and get out. So the journalist is going to receive your email or your message, and they're going to see the press release headline and go, yeah, I want to read this. The three core tenets of writing a press release headline are: use action verbs like opens for opens to the public, or exhibits their new art. Be direct. So don't get real flowery, but be direct in what you want to talk about, and be comprehensive. Go through all the information that's relevant and will be of people's interests. A strong, concise headline attracts readers and encourages sharing on social media. So that's really important, because we want people to share on social media, get the word propagated out there. A headline of no more than 120 characters. So make sure your headline is under 120 characters. Search engines only index the first 65 characters of the headline, so make sure your most important keywords appear within that range. So we're talking about online, because even if the San Francisco Chronicle or 7x7 magazine publishes this in their print, it will also be on their website, and people will want to look for information, and your press release, your story or article would come up in search engines. Using numerals like 5 has only been found to attract more readers. So if you are going to have 5 artists participating, instead of writing out the word 5, F-I-V-E, put the number 5. It's been found to attract more readers. Avoid spammy keywords. So certain words trigger alerts for spam filters, such as words are free, you, order now. So those are things that too many people are using, and especially people that are spamming. So don't use excessive punctuation like capitals and exclamation marks that may trigger spam filters. So if you write out, come visit us now, all in capital letters, that will trigger a spam filter, and most likely the journalist will not receive the email. Use natural language. Make sure to weave into your copy the words and phrases your audience actually uses when talking about your subject. Keep it type rather than trying to jam everything about your product or service into the headline. Tell one story clearly. So if you have 3 different messages that you want to share, you want to use in the headline just one message. Be sure to format each word in the headline with the first letter capitalized. That is the standard method of headlines. Use your heads. If you absolutely need more real estate, use a subhead to add more information. Use no more than 200 characters in the summary or subhead. So you have a maximum of 120 characters in the headline and a maximum of 200 characters in the subhead. If you're struggling with your headline, you could always try Headline Analyzer or headlines.sharethrough.com. Also, in this day of AI, you could always go to AI if you had ChatGPT or a program like that, and you can ask AI to create headlines for you. I use AI quite a bit, and I'll ask, come up with 10 or 20 headlines for me to use in my press release on, and then I have the subject. Okay, you want to make a dateline. The dateline component of a press release contains the date that the press release is published. While it may seem like a small detail, this is critical for the authority of the press release, since it allows the reader to determine whether the press release is new or old. This, in turn, allows a journalist to decide whether to contact the author of the press release for more information or keep looking for new news. So if you send out a press release and it says the dateline is could be for immediate release, that means it's relevant now and the journalist can post the story on their media right away. Or it could be, if you have an event in September, you could have the dateline for August 15th release. In addition to telling readers when the press release was or is published, the dateline also includes the city and state of the press release, which is important if you're hosting an art show in a particular location. By including the city of origin in the dateline section of the press release, you stand a better chance to track to local news media and pick up local coverage for your event. You want to craft your lead or summary. Your lead is the first paragraph in your press release. This usually is consisting of 35 to 45 words, and it summarizes the most critical parts of your press release. The lead should be short, detailed, and simple. Be descriptive about your upcoming events and tell your readers why they should read the rest of the press release. Keep in mind that this is one of your first opportunities to grab the reader, and you don't want to waste it. The first paragraph has to answer the 5 W's as concisely as possible. Who's involved in the news stories? Which persons are involved? What's happening? What's it about? When did the story or event happen? When is it going to happen? Where did the story or event take place? Why is this information relevant to a reader of these media outlets? So make sure you cover the 5 W's. Okay, you're going to write the body paragraphs for your press release. The goal of the body is to describe all the relevant details of the story and your brand's involvement in it. The body text offers background information, further details on the artist, and explanations for an event or exhibition. Every great press release uses the inverted pyramid formula to do this by including the most pertinent details at the top and then gets into the less vital aspects as you go on. Although the length of your body copy will depend on the art show and the details you need to share, it should feature at least 2 paragraphs. These paragraphs should both be short with no more than 5 sentences in each. Okay, details about the artist and exhibition. So you need to include these details: the name or the names of the artist, the title of the exhibition or event, the location, the name of the location and the address, city and state, the opening date and the closing date. It's an event that starts on such and such date and closes such and such date, or the times, artist talk or other event details and dates, the sponsors, so this is sponsored by an organization, art style or media or materials should be included, and a relevant image should also be included. You want to include supporting quotes. Including quotes is a good way to boost the credibility and personality of your press release to a reader. Include quotes from artists, art critics, gallery owners, art administrators, or educators. If you don't have a quote about you or your work or your event, you can ask someone that you know. You could ask somebody in ArtSpan or a volunteer or another artist to write a quote for you. However, always ensure that your quote is relevant in the context of the article. Then you want to write your boilerplate text. Your boilerplate is a standardized copy of what you or your organization is and what it stands for. When you write a boilerplate, you are essentially considering facts, business aspirations, and marketing goals all into one short paragraph. And then you want to add media contact details. You need to include your media contact information for reporters to get in touch with you. Include your email address and phone number to give them a point of contact when they want to reach out to you. A phone number is important because if they are working on the story and they want to get an answer right away, they can call you immediately. Include your studio mailing address, the URL of your website, and any relevant social media links. Okay. Then you always end your written press release with 3 hashtags or number symbols typed across the center of the page, a couple lines below the end of your text. This, throughout the media industry, has signaled this is the end of the press release. So this is important to include as well, okay? And then you can include an image. Your press release should feature one image from your show or event. This could be a picture of you with your artwork, a picture of the space, your studio, the gallery, etc. Okay, there are no rules for choosing an image, but it is usually good to choose a piece which is representative of the entire show, either visually or thematically. You may include a picture of the artist or of the gallery or a picture of a piece of artwork. A piece of artwork is usually recommended. I've found that I get more traction when I have a photo or image that includes me with the image of the artwork. So if you have a piece that's your signature piece for your upcoming event, you can have someone take a photo of you standing in front of or next to that piece. And that way it includes the image of the work as well as you. The image on your press release should be large enough to view easily, so don't use a thumbnail image. Okay, so here is a press release template. Again, the headline, the lead or summary, the deadline, the dateline, city, state, release date for immediate release or a concrete date, the intro, write an additional paragraph to provide more details about the exhibition, the 5 W's, the body text offers background information, insert a quote from the artist, a gallery owner, or a critic, include a call to action and a URL address where the reader can find more information. So you could say in your body, learn more about the event at the following, and then you can have a URL hot link there. The boilerplate is the description and message about the artist or the gallery. the contact information, and then the 3 hashtag numbers. Okay, so we're going to actually look at some examples of press releases for art exhibitions next. But if you have some questions before we go into that, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay, so we're going to go through examples of press releases for art events. The following sample press releases can help you understand how you can craft an effective and compelling press release that gets picked up by media and read by potential exhibition visitors and art enthusiasts. Again, with AI out there, you can write your rough press release with all your 5 W's, your different body, etc. And then you go to AI and say, please write a press release with the standard format, and you can include the listing from the previous list of all the elements that go in there about the following event, and then you have your written description and your rough from your press release, and then it can write its version of it. You can read it, check it for accuracy, because a lot of times AI takes things from websites that are inappropriate for your event or inaccurate. So you want to make sure that everything's accurate. You might want to edit it or reorganize it. You could always ask it to rewrite it, giving prompts to make it shorter or longer, etc. Okay, so let's go through our first press release. It's the headline: Art Exhibition by Cohen and Johnson opens March 3rd at Nucleus Art Gallery, San Francisco, California. Release January 5, 2018 for immediate release. A new exhibition by Ben Cohen and Victoria Johnson opens March 3rd at the Nucleus Art Gallery, Alhambra, California. The exhibition features 78 oil paintings on display until May 30th. More information about the exhibition can be found at, and then you have the press release website URL. In the exhibition, Near Far, Ben Cohen and Victoria Johnson draw a straight line between art and the claim for it. They create a new category of delicacy, challenge the sensitivity of the senses, and leave exciting thoughts in viewers' minds. The two artists have arranged their oil paintings in the cool, secession-like coziness of the Nucleus Art Gallery, Alhambra, California. They have transferred to the canvas ideas, sensations, and emotions. Johnson is an artist based in San Francisco, California. She is a retired professor of contemporary art from the University of California. In 2010, she had solo exhibitions at the Waterhouse Gallery, and her works were included in the group shows Far Away at Nottingham Contemporary and the Folkestone Triennial, UK. Johnson is famous for drawing what she feels, not what she sees. She paints the world dressed in ideas that are close to her heart. Asked about the art exhibition, Johnson said that while creating the new paintings, when she looked at the canvas, she saw a white perfection and a way to escape the illusion of time and return to the unity of life. In the process, she also found a merger between an object and a subject, a disappearance of distance. Cohen is well known to the general public and the Alhambra residents because in 2015, Cohen had a solo exhibition, My Way, at the local museum. The same exhibition was on display at the Harris Museum and Art Gallery, Preston, Hollybush Gardens, London, and MRA, Saragon, France. Most of the landscapes in Ben Cohen's studio reflect the surrounding reality of the artist's hometown. Cohen's paintings transform shape and color into more abstract, purely pictorial suggestions. The Near Far art exhibition will surprise the gallery visitors with the colorful accents, picturesque surfaces, finishing touches in mild tones, and then the 3 hashtag symbols. Then here's the contact information. For full information can be found on the following website, and there's the press release website, and then the contact information, the name, the organization, if there is one, the address, and the phone number. Okay. Examples of press release for art events, we'll go through another one. And these are included in the PDF file. So everything you see in writing will be included in the PDF file that I will send to you. So the headline, Super Important Art Show selects Brooklyn artist Tracy Clarence for premiere event. Brooklyn, New York, release September 1, 2009 for immediate release. Brooklyn artist Tracy Clarence has been selected by a jury of international art experts to participate in the 2009 Super Important Art Show in Valdivia, Chile. Clarence's work, together with the works of 5 other artists, was chosen from a highly competitive lineup of more than 1,300 artists for the show, which will focus attention on the World Hunger Project. A German by birth, Tracy has lived in the US since 1999. Originally trained in performance art, a series of vivid dreams led her to embrace painting as a career, and she now shows regularly in New York and Cape Cod. We love the global and timeless qualities of Tracy's work, commented Jackson Melanson, curator of the Valdivia show. Together with her vivid color palette, these qualities make her work very accessible to a variety of age groups and cultures, important to help us spread the word about the World Hunger Project. I am very excited about the opportunity to exhibit my work at the Super Important Art Show, commented Tracy. My purpose as an artist is to create art that will change the world, and I am honored to participate in an event which aligns so closely with my personal goals of promoting a happier, healthier world. Now, note that there's a quote by the artist, because this will be a press release that will be used by a journalist under their name. So it's as if the journalist has interviewed the artist. The Super Important Art Show will take place in the Stuyvesant Memorial Gallery at 1367 Main Street, Valdivia, Chile, from October 12 through November 1, 2009. An opening reception will be held on October 17th at 7:30 p.m. Future details can be found on the official show website and it has the URL. For further information about Tracy Clarence's work, including dates and times for her monthly open studio showings, please visit her website and it has her URL, or email at tracy.etc. Okay. Contact information, Tracy Clarence Art, phone, email, and URL. Okay, so any questions about the format or the content included in either of these art event press releases? Raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, Ria, so what is your question?
Both the artists, they spoke in their press release about their past exhibition. I wanted to understand how important that was at the part of the current press release.
Okay, so including your credentials of past exhibitions is important in sharing that you have experience showing your work, that you've been selected by galleries or selected for juried exhibitions, etc. So by sharing highlights of past exhibitions or shows Or if you're doing a press release for Open Studios, you can say, that Ria has participated in 10 Open Studio events through ArtSpan in the past. It gives more credibility to the press release and gives more background about who the artist is and gives more importance to the artist. Does that answer your question? Okay, thanks for your question. Any other questions? Okay, Rachel, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
So it's more of maybe a general question. So
Sure.
can we put the press release also on our website?
Yes. So when you write your press release, you can include it on your own website as well. A lot of artists have websites and they have a publication page. So you can put it on the publication page. When I do a press release, I usually do, it's the first thing I do before anything else. So if I'm going to have an art event or art exhibition or participate in Open Studios, the first thing I do is write the press release, and then I draw from the press release the wording, the information, etc., to put on my post, to put on social media, to put on my website, to put on the event page, etc. So I use the press release as the way to write up all the comprehensive information. So you could take and copy and paste from your press release, or you can put your entire press release on that. Note that your press release is written in the third person about you, as if somebody else is writing about you. So if you have the press releases actually printed, one thing I've done is I've scanned the the article, and then put the JPEG of that article in the press page as well. So that's another thing that you can do. Does that answer your question, Rachel?
Yeah. Yeah, and you said that there is also a cover letter. Are you going to cover it later?
Basically, I'm trying to think.
Because my question is, in the cover letter, can we ask for feedback if there, because I used to write this press release for a gallery, like Gallery 9 in Los Altos, just for announcement for our exhibition, because every month we had this opening, and it was really hard to know if they used it, if it's there, if it's
So a journalist or somebody who's doing posts for a website that might put your press release on there, they're very, very busy people. And if they feel like, oh no, now I have to reply to this person and explain to them what didn't work or what does work or something, I just don't want to do it. And they're just may not even include your press release. So if you're asking them for something more, then you're taking the chance that they may not use your press release at all. It may not be a bad strategy to wait a few weeks or 2 weeks or something like that and email them and say, I emailed you 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago with the following press release, and I'm wondering if you could give me any feedback as to this press release. Now, then they don't have to rush. They can review that at any time they want. They could not reply or they can reply, but it's not connected with the press release at the time that you want it released. Does that make sense? Okay, any other question, Rachel? Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions from anyone? Raise your hand. Okay, Ria, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
So if an artist is invited from another city or is invited from another country, how important it is that the two press release that will go in both the countries in terms of its content.
So you might send a press release. Let's just give an example. London and San Francisco. You're going to send a press release to journalists in San Francisco. So you write it with the dateline San Francisco, and you write it highlighting the event in San Francisco or the artist in San Francisco, and in addition, the London. But then you're going to send it to London journalists as well. So you write it the opposite. So you write it as if about the London artist first, and then write about the San Francisco artist second. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and resume the presentation. Thanks for your questions. Okay, so improve your press release visibility through search engine optimization. So this is really important to keep in mind because most likely your press release will end up online. So benefits of optimized press releases: more backlinks from high-ranking news sites, higher ranking for targeted keywords, improved visibility on search engines, more targeted traffic, increase in brand recognition, and more influence in your business community. So those are benefits of optimizing the press release for search engine. So how do you do that? Identify your keywords. The optimization process for press releases begins with keyword search and analysis. Identify your focus keywords and align them with your press release. Include keywords and the PR title. A good practice is to think like a journalist and a searcher. All the major search engines read titles of the press release and look for keywords and show the press release in the search engine results. So in the search in your press release title, if you use the word abstract paintings, those two words, and I go to a website search engine and I type in, oh, I want to find out about abstract paintings, and I type in abstract paintings, your press release might come up on my search engine. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, is to use words that somebody might search, whether it's a journalist or a potential purchaser or somebody that might want to come to your event. Optimize the press release summary. Write a precise paragraph for your press release in not more than 250 characters that describes best about the story and interest the users. Add some more keyword phrases different from those used in the title in the summary of the press release, so to get maximum exposure. So you have your press release title, and let's just say abstract paintings is included in that. So in the summary, which is the next paragraph, or the first paragraph after that, instead of saying abstract paintings, you may say non-representational artwork. So you use a different terminology to describe the same thing. If there's an event, you want to say the word exhibition. If there's an opening, you want to say the word opening. So somebody might go online and look for an exhibition opening. If you're doing open studios, you want the words open and studios in that. If it includes 5 artists, you want 5 artists. So things that people will search for. Optimize the body of the press release. Now, while writing the actual press release, do not restrict yourself to one keyword. Instead, use a web of several related keyword phrases in the body of the release to create more diversity and maximize your SEO potential, your search engine optimization potential. The language of the press release should be compelling to both humans and search engines. So you write it for people, but then you also keep in mind that it needs to be written for a search engine as well. Make your press release easily accessible on your website. Not only will this give media personnel a clear and official place to look for your press releases, but it will also give your press release a physical place to live on the web. So this addresses Rachel's question. You can even, if you're going to do multiple press releases, have a press release page. so people can go and read all the press releases that you've written in the past. Okay, use backlinks. So backlinks are one website providing a link to another. This link serves to strengthen the SEO of the page that it is linked to. Include your website's link on targeted keywords. This will give valuable incoming links for your site. So if you are writing your name, let's just use my name, Stephen C. Wagner, then I can make that a hot link to my website, stephenscwagner.com. Okay. If you're including ArtSpan Open Studios is hosting this event, you can use under ArtSpan, you can have a hot link for the ArtSpan website. If you're participating at 1890 Bryant Studios, when you put the address or the name of the venue, you can put a hot link to that space as well. Add hyperlinks within the body of your news release to connect to your homepage, a blog or a report, or even a landing page for a download. So you put hyperlinks, which means you click on that and it goes directly to your website. So you can include that in your press release to make sure that people can easily have access to more information. Okay. Make sure the words you hyperlink actually describe the page you are linking to or what's in the content you're linking to. So if you use the term abstract paintings and you hyperlink it or hot link it to the ArtSpan website, well, that's not really directly related. So it needs to go to your portfolio series page for abstract paintings. For example, Allett and Associates, B2B PR and marketing consultancy. That's the name of the organization that created the press release or is hosting the event, and see how it's highlighted in blue with the underline. That means it's a hot link or a hyperlink. Avoid linking words such as click here or find out more here, as context is important. So just hyperlink or hot link the actual words without saying click here to find out more. Make sure what you are linking to is relevant to your audience and the audience of the publication you are sending your press release to. It stands more chance of being included that way. And remember that links are considered stronger when they are contextual. So they're more valuable when you have them in the body of your press release than rather at the end. Okay? Any questions about optimizing your press release for search engines? Raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, now you want to send out your press release. So you want to reach media with your press release. After writing a press release detailing your newsworthy announcement, the next step is to get it shared with securing coverage in relevant media. To start, build a media list of relevant journalists and outlets. Craft your submission email. Syndicate to thousands of outlets using a press release distribution service, and promote your press release on social media for added awareness. Okay, so identify editors, journalists, and reporters who would most be interested in what you have to say. So if you are in San Francisco or you're in the South Bay, or even if you're in Los Angeles, find out what major newspapers, magazines, publications that you want to send this out, and find out who are the proper editors or journalists that you should send these to. If you cannot find on their website a listing of email addresses for different categories, you can always pick up the phone and call the San Francisco Chronicle, or call the San Jose Mercury News, or call the LA Times and ask who you should send this to and what their email address is. Contact traditional news agencies such as newspapers, magazines, television channels, or radio stations, and their associated websites. Consider those in your area first. To find the names of journalists or media contact, visit their agency's website or call the agency to get the contact information of the journalist you should send your release to. So don't just think about print, but also think about TV and radio. I know KQED, the the PBS station in San Francisco highlights coming events, etc., and they may include this in one of their highlights of coming events. Okay, queries can be made over the phone or in email, which can be labor intensive. So, asking all about these things can take a lot of time. So create a spreadsheet with columns for each media outlet. Add the name of the press contact, their contact information, information about their audience, submission guidelines, so you can create a document that, as you do this research, for all the newspapers, for all the magazines, for all the TV stations, for all the radio stations that you want to contact. Then each time you want to send out a press release, you already have all that information collected and ready to use. So if you plan on sending out press releases for Open Studios this fall, you might start doing the research for the journalists now. So then you want to send your press release. You send your press release to only one person from each local media source. Do not bombard them by sending them to 5 different journalists or 5 different reporters. It will be confusing to them. The best time to send a press release is between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Why? Editors open about 1/3 of their emails then. So if you send that after 10, but before 2, you have the highest period of time when editors are opening their emails. Be patient. Sending a press release is like fishing. Not every cast will produce a catch. Not every editor or reporter will bite at your submission. You may have to rewrite the release and try again, or wait until you have another event, announcement, or idea to submit. So if you find that you send out a press release and no one has contacted you, or your press release hasn't picked up, you might rewrite it and send it again. Okay, so I've done a little homework for you. So if you're going to send your press release in the Bay Area, Tony Bravo at the Chronicle, this is his email address, Sarah Hotchkiss at KQED TV, and there's Randy McMullen at the Mercury News and East Bay Times. So again, this is included in the PDF file that I will email to each of you after the program this evening. So here are some email addresses that you can use. Okay, there's also the press release distribution services. I have used this and I find this is the most effective means. Sending it out to one person at one media outlet is very narrow and you're throwing the dice. But sending it out to a distribution service guarantees it's going to be picked up by many different outlets. So getting great press means getting your press release in front of the right people. You could spend countless hours finding the right journalist to pitch, or you could opt for a press release distribution service instead to ensure your pitch doesn't land in a journalist's trash and instead lands you press. So a press release distribution service allows you to submit a press release to be instantly sent to hundreds or thousands of reporters, journalists, blogs, influencers, and news outlets. These can be sent via permanent placement on a newswire, direct email to journalists or influencers, and distribution on targeted social media handles. So distribution plans range from $99 to $500 for each press release and often include distribution to a set number of outlets, as well as the ability to add multimedia, expert reviews, and analytics reports. So if you use a press release distribution service, then they send it to people that they already are connected to. For example, I use PR Web, and they have 300,000 different connections. So they're in the business of knowing who to send press releases to. So to syndicate a release, select a provider and a plan, a release date, and a target audience, like an industry, a location, or demographics, for example. Then upload your release. Finally, follow the prompts to pay for and finalize your order. Once the service has distributed your release, most providers provide reports to help you track where your release was published. So again, I use PR Web many times, and they have different levels. And I find that the advanced package, which is the second from the bottom, the second from the lowest price at $199, provides interactive search optimized press release. So that I find is the most affordable and effective. I've used that in the past. Share this makes it easier for your readers to send your news to others through blogs, Facebook, Twitter, Technorati, Dig, LinkedIn, etc. So that's another service. PR Web, they use major search engines. This goes out to major search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc. All major online news sites like Yahoo News and Topics. So it goes to online news sites. More than 250,000 PR Web news subscribers and 30,000 plus journalists and bloggers. So there's people that have websites that they post on a regular basis, upcoming news and events. It might be about art, it might be about activities and happenings in a certain city, etc. So they subscribe to PR Web. And then they also have, PR Web has 30,000 plus journalists that they have in their email list. And they give you enhanced distribution service where you can choose up to 10 industries and 5 regions you want to reach. So you can say art, interior design, architecture, galleries. If your artwork is about climate change, you can include, environmental issues, climate change, etc. And 5 regions you want to reach. So it could be Northern California, it could be the San Francisco Bay Area, it could be Central California, it could be Nevada, Las Vegas, Palm Springs, etc. So you can choose industries and regions that you want PR Web to target your press release. Other press release distribution services are Newswire, PR Distribution, and Send to Press. So you can check these out as well. High PR, you can find free and paid press release submission sites at this website. So again, these hot links are included in the PDF file that I will send to everyone. So I'm just going to share with you some information and history about using PR Press, and then you can ask any questions that you might have. So I use PR Web for the very first time when 2 pieces of my artwork were accepted and purchased by the Riverside Art Museum in Riverside, California for their permanent collection. And I thought, this is newsworthy. And I want to get this out to as many people as possible to let them know that my art was selected and purchased for an art museum permanent collection. So I used PR Web, I wrote the press release, and then I sent it out. So first off, I was living in Southern California at the time. So it was picked up in Palm Springs by the Desert Sun. It was picked up by the Riverside, California local newspaper. It was picked up in San Diego as well by physical press. In addition to that, it was picked up with many online sites. So websites offering news about art or news about the locations. So it could have been like, what's happening in Riverside, or let's go San Diego, websites like that. Hundreds of websites that are out there, actually thousands of websites that are out there that concentrate on news stories. And people are trying to draw as many people to subscribe to their news service or to visit their website. And so they picked it up. So I found that when I went to Google and entered in my name, my press release, my story popped up many times. I saw that artwork by Stephen C. Wagner, purchased for Riverside Art Museum permanent collection. Okay, let's just say that was the headline. I saw that pop up again and again and again, all from different websites, different outlets that included and printed my website on their website. Okay, so what's interesting is for the next 5 years, when you typed in my name, they kept popping up. So it gained high visibility online for years to come, not just that month or that year, but for several years to come. So that was great visibility. So if somebody would Google your name and you had 5 different press releases that had gone out over the last couple of years, they would see all these different press releases included on all these different news source websites. So it gives people like an impression, oh my God, look how popular, look how successful, look how much this artist has gotten coverage. So that's a great byproduct of the press release, is it goes on to websites and it stays there for a long time to come. So that's a really great benefit to do with using PR Web or using a distribution service. So I find that using a distribution service is simpler and easier to get it out to multiple outlets than me sending it to just these 5 journalists or these 5 TV stations or these 5 radio stations. So it depends on if you want to pay some extra money to get your press release out, or if you want to use your press release just to go to the contacts that you know of. Now, the other thing that I learned, which was of great interest to me, is that the press releases were used exactly as I wrote them. They did not edit them. Did they not change them? Nothing. They used it exactly. And every website I went to and every print outlet that used it wrote it exactly as I wrote it. So it tells me that journalists are lazy. They take a press release that they receive and then they just use it as is and put it in their paper or put it on their website, etc. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is you want to write a press release in a manner as it will be used exactly in the paper or in a magazine or on the news, etc., or on a website. So keep that in mind, that you create the press release that they most likely will use it exactly as you wrote it and will not edit it. Now, if they want to feature you and give you highlight or front page status, then they most likely will call you up or email you back and say, we'd like to meet up with you, or we'd like to ask you some questions over the phone. We'd like some more images. And then they can follow up with that and then maybe add more information to the press release that you wrote. Okay. Any questions about what I just shared? Okay, let's see. Taylor, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you for all this information. I'm
Sure.
curious if you are sending out to journalists a press release for an upcoming event, say an exhibition you have, how far in advance would you advise sending that press release to
Okay,
journalists?
that's a good question. Okay, so I'm just going to answer your question with more than you asked. So number one, you can
Great.
send a press release in advance of an event, and then you can send a press release or you can send a press release after an event. So let's just say you have an exhibition and there's an opening reception. You can send out a press release about the opening reception, inviting people to come. But then not everybody can come to an opening reception on a specific date or time. You could do a press release after the opening reception with the hours at the gallery. You can stop by Tuesday through Saturday between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. at this address. And so you give them all that information so they can come at any time at their convenience. So those are two different strategies: before the event or during the exhibition or after the event. If you were accepted into a juried exhibition, if you received a major award, that's after the event. So you could do it one or the other. Now, timing, when do you send out the press release? So I have found that for print media, for magazines, specifically magazines, they go on a very long lead time. So usually they do the setup for the magazine 3 months in advance or so. So if you want to get into 7x7 magazine in San Francisco, you want to send them a press release 3 months in advance, or even if you don't have all that information, try to get it in maybe even 2 months in advance if you can't do 3 months in advance, to give them enough time, because they have to do a lot of work to set this all up. Now, in today's technology, it doesn't take them quite as long as they used to. So I think 2 months would work as well. Newspapers, they usually want an article a month or so in advance. So you could do 3 weeks or a month in advance to get an article. Or, for example, San Francisco Chronicle, they have the pink pages that list all the events by category. They have theater events, art events, children's events. So if you want to just get picked up with the listing, they usually take that a week in advance. So it depends on what you're looking for, what the purpose of the press release is, and who it's going out to. But in general, I would try to create a press release to go out a month in advance for, we're talking about it going out to all these news outlets online. I'd say a month in advance is fine. You don't need to do it much more in advance like a magazine. Does that answer your question? Okay,
Yes,
great.
thank you.
Okay, and Rachel, you had your hand up if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, so this PR web, so they don't guarantee that someone will, that it will be, someone will use it. They don't put it on the website or something like that. You just send it.
They send it out to 250,000 different outlets.
Yeah.
Or they have 250,000 subscribers. And then you pick the category. You have art or architecture or interior design. You pick the location, like San Francisco, LA, New York, or you pick your locations, and then they send out to all the appropriate outlets that subscribe to them that cover those subjects and those locations. And they also have 30,000 journalists that they send out to, and they also match up the topic with the location to those journalists. So most likely it will go out to several thousand outlets, depending on what you check.
And another question is, how is this compared to, we can put on for a lot of, even Mercury News, you can, in the local newspaper, you can put online events. It's for free. You just fill in the information. How is this compared to that? Can you put your...
So the listing gives the name of the event,
Yes.
the location, the dates, the times, and the link.
And also,
whereas a press release gives the history, the quotes by the people, etc. So it creates a story that will be written. So if you send just to the pink pages in San Francisco Chronicle or the San Jose Mercury News, they just to their listing service, then it just lists just the little bit of pertinent information for the event.
Yeah.
And Ria, I see you had your hand up earlier. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
So, Stephen, what I understand that many people are writing press release, and it's quite likely that it will not be published. Now, if a person is doing an open studio, it means many artists are doing open studio. So, is it even worth sending a press release for it?
Okay, good question. So number one, if you're sending a press release to the San Francisco Chronicle, they're bombarded with them specifically. But if you use a distribution service, it goes out to so many that dozens, if not hundreds, are going to pick you up. Okay. If you are participating in a building with 20 artists, 20 other artists, you can write one press release to go out for all the artists, listing all the artists and the different type of artwork that they're showing. But I find that during open studios, people generally pick the locations with the most artists to go to first. So if you are showing by yourself or just with 2 or 3 other artists in your own home, your own studio, in a small building, then you're most likely going to have a lot fewer people come and visit you during open studios. So by doing a press release for your own location, it's giving you an extra advantage over just being in the guide and all these people that are going to go to open studios and are looking for the locations with the most artists. So they might read about you opening your studio up to the public on these 2 dates in the local paper or on an online website that they're a subscriber to or something like that. So I think the fewer people at your venue, the more important it is to use a press release for you personally. Does that answer your question?
Yes, in a way it answers. Now, if I just put this question a little differently, so I do not have an open studio like many artists doing group exhibition. A group exhibition which has nothing to do with open studio, but the group exhibition maybe there are 20 people. So what I mean to say that possibility of a group exhibition in that week is less.
Okay, so what I have found,
will not
I
send the
was
press
the
release, what I mean.
owner of Arc Gallery and Studios for 14 years. I was the managing partner along with 2 other people. And we had opening receptions about every month. And we mostly had group exhibitions where we'd have anywhere from 10 to 35 artists in an exhibition. So we did press releases on a regular basis because, number one, in an opening reception, most galleries are lucky to get more than 100 people attend in an opening reception at a night. And during the week, if you promote not just the opening reception, but the gallery and the exhibition is up for the next month, they may get 10 people, 20 people a day coming into their gallery. And on Saturday, they may get 30 or 40. That's not a huge number. So to increase the number of people attending the opening reception or coming into the gallery during, or the art organization gallery during the month that it's up, if you do a press release, it's going to get the word out to more people than are generally on the email list for that gallery or that art organization that sponsored the group exhibition. All the venues expect the artists to send out email announcements to all their friends, their family, and their followers. But we generally expect maybe 10 people per artist to attend, not much more than that, if that at all. So if you want to go beyond just the regular email list that the venue uses, or the email list that these other people use, you can do a press release. Now, remember what I shared with you, that if you do a press release through a PR distribution service, then it gets picked up by online news sources and will be online for years to come. So it gives you a lot more visibility online than all the other people. So did I answer your question? Okay. So
Yes, yes, Sunanda, yes.
okay, good. So it's a strategy. So you want people to attend the event. You want people to come to see the exhibition after the opening, and you want the press release to live on search engines and news source websites for years to come. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's resume the presentation. And we're going to wrap up here. Okay, so you want to promote your release on social media. So once you've sent your press release and it's been published on major publication sites, share the link to your press release or links to articles that have been published on high-profile sites about your story and advertise them on social media. Use Instagram or Facebook or any other social media you might be in, and LinkedIn, and post the link to your posted press release so people can see, look, the San Jose Mercury News did a story about Ria's artwork in her Open Studios event. Okay, so I do 1 hour and 2 hour programs every other Monday in the fall and the spring. So these are the programs that are coming up for this fall. In September, there's creating effective emails, newsletters, and crafting your artist bio, resume, and CV. In October, there's talking about your artwork and approaching art galleries for representation. And then in November, there's navigating the path to museum exhibitions, and then how to apply for artist grants and residencies. And just to let you know, I do one-on-one 1 hour sessions with artists, and I normally charge $145 an hour. So I'm offering a $99 first time special. So if you've not met with me before for an online session, I can help you to develop strategies, goals, and action plans for $99. Also, there's the Quick Grant program, and it provides free reimbursement up to $600 to California artists who work with consultants, coaches, and mentors in professional development activities. So you could receive 4 free 1 hour sessions with me online through the Quick Grant program. So if you're interested, just email me at stephen5w@sbcglobal.net if you're interested, and I'll reply with more information. And then I go to Mexico City every year. I've been doing this for the last 8 years. And this year, I did my first art and food tours, and I'm doing them again next year in February. So you can join me for an adventure in Mexico City. They're $150 for a 4-hour walking tour. And I believe there's 6 different walking tours that concentrate on different art in different neighborhoods, and they include lunch and different other delicacies. So here's a link to learn out more about that. So you can register online and find out more information at sfartistnetwork.org. And you can register for any programs or email me through that as well. If you know of other artists that you think would be benefit from these programs, please share the Artist Network website and they're in the emails with them. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me this evening. Before we close, I always like to get a little feedback. So I'm just going to go around to each of you and ask you to share with me one thing that you felt was very important or new that you heard from tonight's program. Something, a key point. Okay, so Denia, if you want to unmute yourself and share with me one thing that you feel was new or important that you learned in the program this evening.
I honestly, I didn't know hardly any of the stuff that you said through this. The most eye-popping one was the PR web distribution services. And that was quite impressive. And I will do a little shout out for your Be an Art Star program, as I'm in it, and I think it's great. So this was great too. Everybody, it's good.
Okay, thank you, Dania, for sharing that. And Rachel, if you want to unmute yourself and share with me one thing that you thought was a key takeaway from tonight's program.
I don't know, I'm still processing all the information, but it was great to learn the why you do everything, why with all the structure of the press release.
Okay.
But yeah, the rationale behind it. So then you can make your own, and that's very important.
Okay, thank you for sharing that and joining us tonight. And Taylor, if you want to unmute yourself and share with us one thing that you felt was new or important that you heard in tonight's program.
Yeah, I also was going to say the structure of the press release and specifically like kind of the length of the different parts, you know, don't go over this amount of characters or this amount of words. I can tend to be very wordy, which I know is not necessarily the point of press releases. So just kind of having those kind of boundaries is helpful.
Okay, Taylor, thanks for sharing that. And thanks for joining us tonight. And Ria, if you want to unmute yourself and share with us one thing that you thought was a key takeaway from tonight's program.
So Stephen, if I answer that, I have written a couple of press releases and I have been very fortunate to get published and receive quite many press releases by now, but it has been a different country. And I totally resonate with that idea that once your press release is out, if you type your name, it exists for quite many years. You're like in many search engine. And even if I have not sent my press release, even to the publisher, I have found it being published online in many other places. So I didn't know that, but now that I'm here, I understand. What I got from this session is a format of be careful about the wordings, be careful about the keywordings, and I think that's really should help me in my future practice.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for sharing that. One thing I want to, that Ria said that I didn't cover was a lot of time other outlets that weren't in the original press release will pick up the news story from an outlet that ran it. So if you got an article in the San Jose Mercury News, the San Francisco Chronicle may pick it up and contact you and run that story. So sometimes one thing leads to another that you're not even aware of. Okay, So thank you so much for joining me this evening. And again, I will email you with the PDF file, which has the hot links so you could do more research and learn more information. So take care, everyone, and have a great ArtSpan Open Studios this fall. Take care. Bye-bye.